Hello and welcome to the third tutorial in JavaScript. Today I'll prove to you that nothing is hard in programming. And so what we're going to talk about today is some mathematical calculations and how we make external JavaScript. So to start off, as you can see, I've made a div with the ID demo and it just says hello. As you can see, it is here on my web page. And to continue, let's also add in a button. Go ahead and type in the button tag and let's just right click me, close your button tag just like this and save, refresh. We get something that looks like this, which does absolutely nothing. So let's just go ahead and give some design to our div, and let's use CSS for this. So go ahead and type in your style tags, and inside let's give demo. So let's give the demo property font size 5VW for example, and let's also add in some tabs just so we have everything looking correct. And now when we save and refresh, our text is now a little bit bigger and it still does nothing. And so next, let's use our onClick attributes, and in button go ahead and type in the attributes onClick equals, and let's add in a function, and let's say I name it F1 and we add in its bracket. And so we're doing this just to get our button working using the function object. And so go ahead and type in function F1, open and close your curly braces, and inside let's write alert, and in alert we're gonna write documents get element by ID, and let's write demo inside of here dot inner HTML. So this is what your code should look like, and let's save. And when we refresh our page and we click on our button, you see that our alert works perfectly fine and it says hello. And so let's continue and let's change the text inside of the div. And so we're gonna do this by just continuing with our alert line. I'm just going to add in a equal sign, and I'm gonna type in math.random and brackets. And so this is the math.random function. Save, refresh, we click on click me and we get an alert box with some random numbers. It is in the 0 to 1 range. Every time that we refresh, it doesn't go higher than 1 or lower than 0. So this function is basically self-explanatory. It's just random numbers in the range of 0 to 1, and we can easily change the numbers from decimals to whole numbers, and then we can just easily get rid of alert just so we have it working a little bit better, just like this. And save, refresh. You see that every time I click on the button, some random numbers in decimal form are displayed, and it doesn't reach 1 or below 0. And to get whole numbers, let's just cut this out of here and let's paste it here in some variable. So we can type in var, let's say J1 for example, and then in inner HTML we're going to type in J1, and let's also add in a equal sign here. And so as you can see, we've declared our variable J1, which equals math random. And so if I save, refresh, you see that nothing happens. Well, the thing that we wanted to happen did not actually work, and we are still working with decimal numbers. And so what I'm going to do is just after math random and the brackets, I'm going to type in times by 10. So decimal, if we times it by 10, something in the zeros, we'll get a whole number. So this will be something in the range of 0 to 10. Save, refresh. As you see, I now get whole numbers. However, I still have some recurring numbers just right next to it, so we still have decimal numbers. And so to get whole numbers without any decimals or recurring numbers after it, what we're going to do is we're going to use the math floor function, and let's just put this like this, and we close the bracket right here. We save and refresh, and as you can see, we get whole numbers, and they're from the range of 1 to 10. And as you see, we don't even get the number 10. And if we want 10 to also be displayed, we change this 10 right here to 11, and let's save, refresh. As you see, I just got the 10 number displayed on my web page. Here we go. And so let's continue and let's do something else with math random, and we're going to use the if statement. So go ahead and type in if, and let's add in our tabs right here. And when we add in the if statement, we'll add its condition, and its value will be J1, let's say, and smaller than 5, for example. So if the coincidental number is smaller than 5, then we put in one picture. If it's bigger, we insert the other one. So different pictures for different statements. So let's try and do this. So go ahead and open up your curly braces, and inside of our if statement, we're going to write this line. So you can just copy it or cut or whatever and paste it here. And in our div, we're going to write some HTML code. So get rid of the J1, and what we're going to do is in these quotes, we're going to type in HTML code, which is image src equals, and the source will be, let's say, mario.png, and let's close this right here. Go ahead and close it like this. And so as you remember, the opposite way of the if statement is the else statement. Go ahead and type in your else statement, and inside we're going to essentially paste the same thing. What we've done right here though is we've changed the source to a different picture. So when you've finished writing your sources, save, refresh, and now the condition of the if statement is that if J1 is smaller than 5, we will get a picture of Mario, and if it is not, we will get a picture of a dinosaur. And so right now the number is smaller than 5. That's why we have the picture of Mario. And if I click again, you see we get our dinosaur, which is really huge. And click again, we have a number smaller than 5. Click again, we now have a number which is bigger than 5. That's why we have the picture of this huge dinosaur. So basically, to sum it up, if the value of J1 is lower than 5, that means the picture of the Mario will show up. If the value is bigger, that means the picture of the dinosaur will show up. And you can insert different pictures and different values to see how this works. You can change the value inside of the conditions, and you can also change your pictures to get smaller pictures or whatever you'd like. We could have easily done this same thing without math floor, but we were talking about getting the whole number functionality, so we just kept it here. And so let's go ahead and continue, and now we can just comment on this area. So the if and else statements, keep your variable, and what I'm gonna do is let's copy this part, copy, and let's paste it down here. And in inner HTML, we'll add in J1, so that will be the div. And what I'm gonna do is, as you know, J1 is basically a number by math random, so let's get rid of it. And inside of the brackets, let's go ahead and type in a number which is a decimal, so 4.6 for example. And so now let's save, refresh, and when I click on click me, you see that it's basically the whole number, so 4.6, and it rounds down for some reason. And as we know, that is not right. When we're rounding with decimals, it is above 5 and up, and below 5. So if it was 4.4, it would round down, and it just rounds to 4 due to our math floor function. So even if I put, let's say, 4.9 in here, save, refresh, I will still get 4. So math floor basically just selects the first whole number. It doesn't round up or down. It doesn't really matter. So as I just mentioned, if we were to round 4.6, it would actually be 5, as it is above 4.5. and if it was, let's say, 0.4, we would round it down. And so we know that MathFlow doesn't round correctly, so let's use another mathematical method to get our numbers rounded correctly. And so let's change flow with round, as simple as that. Self-explanatory. And so let's just go ahead and try it with our number, which is 4.9. Save, refresh. You see that it becomes 5 as the whole number when it is rounded. And if I put something like 4.3, save, refresh, we get 4. It rounds down. So this is a correct way of rounding your numbers. And we can also change round with ceil, which is basically the function that returns the smallest integer greater than or equal to a given number. And so if I write, let's say, I don't know, 4.1, I could have just left 4.3, but it doesn't matter. It will round to 5. So it basically rounds up to the highest next number. So even if I write, let's say, 4.01, so if I add a 0 in here, still rounds to 5. And so let's move on, but let's just go back to round and flow, for example, and I can put a different number in here, and let's just comment on these. However, we will still keep them in our file, don't get rid of it. Type in math.max. So the maximum, it is literally self-explanatory, and we're gonna give it values inside of the bracket. So 0, 150, 30, -8, -200, -200, whatever you like. And so in our demo div, you can see that we're going to get, let's save and refresh, 150. So it is basically, as I mentioned, self-explanatory. We get the highest number, so the maximum, that is listed in our brackets, so in its value area, which is 150, and that's why when we click the button we get 150. And we can change max with min, and in this case it should be -200. Save, refresh. So it is basically the lowest number in our value brackets. And let's go ahead and comment on this as well. And to continue, we're still going to work in our function f1 object. And so basically we'll talk about JavaScript arrays, which are used to store multiple values in a single variable, so it can hold more than one value at a time. So what I can do in my function, I can go ahead and type in a variable, and let's just name it car, so the keyword will be car, equals, and in square brackets I'm gonna write, let's say, BMW, and something else like Volvo, Mazda. So these are brands of cars, and so the only difference, as you can see, is that we're able to store more than one value. And now we can go ahead and add in documents, get elements by ID, demo, and let's type in inner HTML. We could have just copied this from the bottom code, and I'm gonna write car, square brackets, and let's say 1. Now if I wrote 1, that possibly means BMW. However, we don't exactly know. Let's go ahead and save, refresh, and as you see, we get Volvo, and Volvo is the second listed item in our array. And so the reason behind this is that BMW's value is actually 0, Volvo is 1, and Mazda is 2. And so if I change this to 2, we're gonna get Mazda, here we go. And if I change it to 0, save, refresh, I'm gonna get BMW. And so if I want all three to be displayed, let's just change this to cars, as the cars, not just one car. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to write cars in here. And if I save, refresh, you see that I get all of my cars listed, and we also have commas between them. And let's go ahead and continue. Comment on these 2 lines, we don't need them. And what we're going to do in our button on click event, we're going to write F1, and as you see there's nothing in its brackets, and so let's give it a value, and we can write 4 for example. And what I can do, I can give this 4 a name, or like a keyword, let's say, to get it actually displayed through the function object. So I'm going to write F1, and in its brackets let's just name it A1 for example. And let's copy this like this, paste it here, and document get element by ID demo dot inner HTML, and we're going to write A1. So this is how we're going to transfer this 4 down here. And now if we want to see the result, we save, refresh, click on the button, and we get the number 4. It can be any number, it can be a 6, save, refresh, it is a 6, but you do have to remember to add in a variable, so mine is A1 just for this function. Let's just go back to 4 for now, and we can also add 2 values in our onClick event. So what I can do is I can just put a comma, and I can write, let's say 5. However, we also have to give a keyword for our 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to name it A2. And we also have to change it right here. So plus A2, so the numbers will be added together. And as you can see, I get a 9, which is 4 plus 5. And so as you see, these are basically numbers, and the only way that we can have them displayed is by mathematical symbols. And so let's say we want it to be like text, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a string, the text inside double or single quotes. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add quotes right here, and be careful so that they're single quotes and they're not double, as if I put a double quote here, as you see, my whole code just gets ruined, as that is closing my onClick attributes value. And so my numbers should be displayed like text. As you can see, I just have a 4 and a 5 right next to each other, just like text. I would just like to clarify that this is the argument of the function. This is where we've stored our keywords, and to get them displayed both at the same time, we've added a plus sign in between A1 and A2, so the 4 and the 5. Also, when we put anything inside of quotes, they are called strings, which is just text. I can put any text into single quotes, and they will be called string. That is a data type, which we will learn later on. And to move on, let's also go ahead and comment on this line, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a alert to our button on click. So in the value area, we're going to write alert, and I'm going to add in brackets F1, and then I'm going to get rid of the quotes, and I'm going to close my bracket right here. And then in our function, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write something which is called return, and I'm going to write A1 times A2. So basically what we're doing right here is we're taking the function numbers, which are 4 and 5, and using return, we're basically returning the result, if that makes sense. So if I save and refresh, I'm going to get 20, as that is what 4 times 5 is. And I'm going to get it through a alert box, which I have set right here. And let's move on from this topic, and to understand how JavaScript works in our browsers, let's add in before function a var tt, which is going to equal tt, which is going to equal text. And we can easily go ahead and open another script tag like this in our body section. And so we have our variable tt right here, and we can add in to this script alert, and inside of alert let's write TT. And so this should work immediately, as alert is the first thing using JavaScript. And so let's move this up here, so right after body, save, refresh. So we brought it here just so you understand this. It doesn't really matter where it is, it just has to be above this. And this, if you think about it, should actually work, and it should be the first thing that when we refresh we get. Save, refresh, nothing happens. And so the reason that this isn't working is because when the code is being processed, let's say, it comes from the top, and the first JavaScript code that there is this alert TT. And so it doesn't really make sense if the first thing is a alert TT without this variable TT text. And so if I were to, let's say, cut this out of here, put it here, save, refresh, you'll see that it immediately comes up. The reason for this, as I mentioned, is because the browser starts from the top and it goes down. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning of our video, JavaScript can also be put in external form. So what we can do right now is in our head tags, right after our CSS code, we can go ahead and type in script src equals, and for example let's name it script.js, and let's close our script tags. And so basically script.js is our file name, and let's go to our desktop. So go ahead and create a text document. The name of our file is script.js, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's script.js. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it with Notepad. Let's bring our things back up here. And so it is a empty file, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this code. Let's bring this here. Let's copy this, copy, save, and then paste it here. And so basically in this JavaScript file we cannot put any CSS or HTML code, only JavaScript, hence the reason it has .js, and it has to be put as .js or else it won't work as JavaScript code. And so if I save this and refresh, you see that it works perfectly fine through our external version. And so just to sum this up, some things that people mistake most of the time is writing the script tags like this and putting a alert here or whatever, something like the TT alert. And so this is wrong. The code will not work as it is external, so it has to be in a JS file. And so yeah, that was all that I had prepared for today. Thank you so much for watching.